Hello, in this video we are going to review multiplying decimals by whole numbers. The directions ask us to find each product. The product is the answer to the multiplication problem. And when we find the answer to the multiplication problems, we are going to have to show our work. Now, there are two kinds of work. There's the computation work, which I'm going to do first. Problem number one, you have 1 and 2 tenths times 3. We're going to skip a few lines and write 1 and 2 tenths times 3 and show our computation work. Computation is when you add, subtract, multiply, or divide. And we will multiply this the same way we would multiply whole numbers. We'll do this problem the same way as if it was 12 times 3. You do 3 times 2 is 6, and then 3 times 1 is 3. The difference is what happens at the end. Since in the problem there is one number, you can see it right here, there's one number after a decimal point, which means in our answer there must be one number after a decimal point. Our answer is 3 and 6 tenths. The other kind of work you have to show is algebraic work. And for us, algebraic work just means working down. So if we have 1 and 2 tenths times 3, the answer goes right underneath the times sign since we were multiplying. 1 and 2 tenths times 3 is 3 and 6 tenths. When I go to do problem number 2, we have 3 and 5 tenths times 6. You skip a few lines, and you have 3 and 5 tenths times 6. You line them up and multiply them like you would do 35 times 6. And then you multiply. 6 times 5 is 30. You carry the 3. And then 6 times 3 is 18. Plus the 3 we carried makes it 21. And again, at the end, we look at the decimals. Since there was one number after the decimal point, we make sure in our answer it moves over once and there's one number after the decimal point. When I go to write my answer, though, I have 21 and 0 tenths. You don't have to have the decimal if it's just a 0. So I'm actually going to erase the 0.0 tenths, and our answer is just 21. Problem number 3 is slightly different, but will be done the same way. We'll take our 5 and 23 hundredths times 8, and we're going to skip a few lines, and we're going to write this like it was 523 times 8. The only difference is there is a decimal there that at the end we'll look at. So we go to multiply. We do 8 times 3 is 24, and then 8 times 2 is 16, plus the 2 we have makes it 18. Carry the 1. And then 8 times 5 is 40, plus the 1 makes it 41. And again, at the end, you double check and look. There are two numbers after the decimal point, so we have to move our decimal over 2 places so that there are two numbers after the decimal point. Our answer is 41 and 84 hundredths. And you box in your answer. Again, your computation work was down here on the bottom. Your algebraic work is just putting your answer under the multiplication sign. Sorry, that's not what I meant to do. This is not actually under the time sign. I'm going to move this over a little bit. Having it under the time sign is better. And the last problem is also different because we have a two-digit number. We'll still skip a few lines. We will have 8 and 46 hundredths times 25. And we will line it up as though it was 846 times 25. And I'm going to color code a little different. And by the way, I've not mentioned the color coding, but I believe it does help when you color code things. It makes the things you're doing stand out. It makes you think about them more. And the better you get at being able to color code while you're doing your work, the better you get at the work. So for a problem like this, where I have two different numbers or two-digit number, I'm going to color code differently. I'm going to color code when I multiply with the 5 as orange. And everything I do off 5 times, I'll do in orange so that you can easily see where it's coming from. For example, 5 times 6 is 30. I'll put the 0 down here and carry the 3. 5 times the next number, 4 is 20, plus that 3 is 23. You write the 3 down here and you carry the 2. And then 5 times 8 is 40, plus that 2 makes it 42. Now, when you're multiplying a two-digit number, and the next number I'm going to color code is green, when you multiply with a 2 or more digit number, you have to have placeholders. The 2 is in the tens place, which means when I start multiplying with the 2, really when I'm multiplying with the 20, I need to put a 0 placeholder so I don't have to keep thinking of it as multiplying by 20, because multiplying by 2 is easier. That placeholder keeps the place of the 0. I'm going to cross out the work from the multiplying by 5, and I'll start multiplying with the 2. 2 times 6 is 12. The 2 goes down here, I carry the 1. When I carry the 1, it goes to the number next to the 6, the 4. And then I do 2 times 4 is 8, plus that 1 is 9, it goes in the next spot. And then the 2 times 8 is 16. When I'm done with that, I take my 2 rows of numbers and I add them. 0 plus 0 is 0. 3 plus 2 is 5. 2 plus 9 is 11. Carry the 1. It's over here now. 6 plus 4 is 10, plus that 1 is 11 again. Carry the 1. And then 1 plus 1 is 2. So I've multiplied this the same way we would have multiplied 846 times 25. The difference, as always when multiplying with decimals, is what you do next. You go and look and count. There are 2 numbers after the decimal point, so we will move our decimal in the answer over 2 places, so there are 2 numbers after the decimal point. Then we write down our answer. It is 211 and 50 hundredths. But again, you do not need to end a number with a 0 if it's a decimal. Whole numbers, yes, but not decimals. So I'm going to erase that 0, and our answer is 211 and 5/10. Things to remember when multiplying decimals by whole numbers. You line up your numbers to multiply like you would do with whole numbers. You multiply them the same way you would do with whole numbers. The only difference is at the end, you look and see how many numbers are after the decimal point in the problem and make it the same in the answer. You move the decimal over the same number of places. So if you have one number after the decimal, like problems 1 and 2, you move the decimal over one place in your answer. If you have 2 numbers after the decimal, like 3 and 4, you move your decimal over 2 places in the answer. And if I had one where there were 3 numbers after the decimal, then in the answer, I'd move the decimal over 3 places so it was the same. Thank you.